Hardik Nilgun, and on behalf of Network FP, welcome to Roundtable discussion on SEBI Investment Advisor Regulations 2013. Network FP, since its launch in 2011, has always stood for fee-based financial planners. And these new set of regulations require advisors to charge fees and to do financial planning, which means keep your client's interest first and get paid by the client, the beneficiary. This, we think, is a very critical development for financial planners and advisors whose livelihood is at stake. The consumers who will be consuming this advice and now will have to knowingly pay for it. And the entire ecosystem which supports this client-planner relationship, like the product manufacturers, media, regulators, and the education system. In the last 2-3 years, enough time and energy has gone into criticizing SEBI and its proposed regulatory changes for financial advisors. However, at Network FP, we have maintained and will always maintain the philosophy of problems are opportunities. And still, around 30 years of professional life ahead, I somehow want to believe that whatever is happening for the good, and we all have better times to come in the coming years. Let's take this roundtable discussion as an opportunity to look forward. Instead of being in a denial mode, let us see how we all can adapt to the new environment, both to survive and prosper as a professional financial planner. I would like to thank each one of you for being here with us today. I always feel proud about Network FP members and the community, who according to me are the early adopters of change. So thank you all for being here today. I'd like to especially thank the industry veterans, Madam Uma Shashikant and Mr. Gaurav Mashwala, who took on the mantle of chairing and moderating the discussion when I was searching for somebody to take on the mantle responsibility. Can we have a round of applause for Mama and Gaurav? Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Further, I'd like to thank the eminent panelists who accepted our request to contribute to the discussion at a very short notice. And I believe these are the people who will lead this transition. Let me introduce you to the panelists today, and we can have a round of applause for them too. Ajit Menon from BSP BlackRock PLC. Mr. Amit Trivedi from Karma Yoga Knowledge Academy. Dhruv Mehta, Chairman, Foundation for Independent Financial Advisors. Hansi Mehrotra from Habis, India. Karthik Zaveri, Transcend Consulting. Mr. Noy Nolaki from International Money Matters. Mr. Telia from Dalla and Bansari Securities. Prem Khatri, Founder and CEO, Cafe Mutual. Rajesh Krishnamurthy, iFast Financial. Sunil Square from Freedom Financial Planners. Suresh Sadagopan from Ladder 7. And Vishal Dhawan from Plan Ahead. Thank you, and let's have a great day. I hand over the proceedings to Madam Uma Shashikant.
Good morning to you all. This is a nice thing to be able to sit down and discuss what is going on as far as the regulation goes, and reading it in some detail, trying to find out what it means for our business, and the enthusiasm of everyone in this room is very palpable. In order to make sure that these 3 hours are efficiently spent, right? It's my job to put in a few rules. I'm going to say what those rules are. The first rule is that I shall be an autocratic teacher throughout this proceeding. All my fellow panelists, I seek your patience with me. We will have to do as much as we can in these 3 hours, so we will try and keep reducing the amount of time spent on a particular issue. I would request you to give both Gaurav and me the opportunity to keep coming in and leading the discussion in the direction we want to take it. First one. Second, of all the topics, we are not going to discuss each provision of the advisor regulation. What we are instead going to do is identify 4 or 5 key issues and see whether we can spend time. So I have expert panelists with the experience as well as the perceptiveness to be able to see how this will roll out. So we would both, Gaurav and I would keep choosing from them to talk on specific areas. The 4 key areas which we believe are going to be important are, the first one is really the way forward. Who does what? Who stands out? Who comes in? who will become an advisor, who will choose not to be an advisor, right? What business models are there, how they will change. Okay, so who does what is something which we will discuss first. Then of course there is this whole issue of complying with these regulations. How should we comply, what should we be doing, and what does it cost to set up an advisory business, and so on and so forth. That is something which we'll talk about, the legal structure, the compliance aspects. And then we will of course talk about the education and technology aspects. These are the key things that we will cover. Since we have people with the ability to talk about what happens globally, we will try and integrate that as we go along, but those wouldn't be separate sessions in themselves. We believe that these 4 or 5 topics can be finished in about 2 hours time with the support of our co-panelists, after which we would open the floor for questions. About 45 minutes is what we want to devote for to various questions that you might have. So that is really the broad structure that we have. We want to start off with
yeah, so I think we probably start with what are the options and way forward. So as Sadiq said that it's not a problem, it's an opportunity. Now that we have an opportunity, or even if we see this as a hurdle, how do we turn it into an opportunity and how do we go ahead? What are the things that we can do, how we should look upon it, what are the benefits that will come to us, to the entire consumer, to regulators. We are looking at a complete 360-degree scope and how each stakeholder benefits from here. So what we would do is probably to begin with, we want each of the panelists to give their views on about the regulations and the opportunities and the way forward is what we see.
Correct. What I would do is I would further break it down to something which, in terms of saying, I would ask each panelist to take the time to keep away from overall comments, not general comments, but to talk about what happens, what they think will happen going forward, right? What would happen going forward is the question I want to ask all the panelists. So we will start from the left. Leftmost is Vishal. Vishal, we'll start with you.
Sure.
I request the panelists to not take more than 3 minutes, please. So
Also, Vishal, we're saving time by not introducing each one of them. So if you can just say 2 lines, so everybody knows you, everybody knows the entire time. Just say 2 lines about yourself, what you do, and then you start. Sure.
okay.
I'm a certified financial planner, run a company called Planner Head Wealth Advisors. We are just going to finish 10 years this year. So, been a long journey, lost a lot of hair, and been fun. Let me just start off with trying to share what I believe this investment advisory regulation starts off from. I think the most popular investment advisory regulation right now, top of mind for everyone, is what's coming out of the UK. And if you look at that regulation, it's far more onerous, because what it forces you to do is become either independent or restricted. Now I want to kind of define the difference between the two of them for you. As far as independent is concerned, what it means is that you have to evaluate each and every financial product in the market and clearly specify to the investor that after evaluating each and every product in the market, you've gone out and recommended this for him because it's appropriate. Versus someone who's restricted, who says that I have identified, studied, maybe 100 products and kind of come to the conclusion that it's appropriate. Now, this is where I think we'll probably end up being 3 or 4 or 5 years down the line. So if you think this is difficult, I think you've got to plan for something which is much, much harder. You can say that, I'll start doing this very slowly, I'm good enough to just go into the deep end of the pool in one shot and start to swim and then compete in the Olympics. My view is that's unlikely to happen. You've got to take change gradually. You've got to see how industry evolves along with you. So if you're thinking about the fact that maybe I have an option to stay where I am, see what happens, and then decide where to go, I'm afraid that you might miss the bus. So first thing is look at the fact that this is giving you a chance to evolve along with the industry rather than being away from it. The second thing which I want to point out is we're not in a different dilemma from what everyone else in the world is, irrespective of the profession they're in. Take the example of a student. When he does his graduation, he sees people who go to campus, companies which come on campus, offer some nice salaries, and he chooses on whether he wants to join a job or do a post-graduation. There's obviously a trade-off involved in the process. When he goes to his post-graduation, there's a set of people who come in from different spaces, and some of them get great jobs, some of them become entrepreneurs. There are trade-offs involved in that process. There is no way for anyone to know upfront which trade-off is actually better. But I think the acceptance that there will be a trade-off, and the fact that that trade-off may well be my best opportunity, is what I would urge everyone to look at and focus on. So overall, I am extremely positive that investment advisor regulation is going to force people to think about their businesses far deeper. It's going to question business models. It's going to question revenue sources. It's going to question commitment to client. It's going to question disclosure. It's going to question a whole lot of things which are different from what we've done in the past. And I think when you raise the question, you get the answer. When you raise the question to 12 people, you get 12 answers. So we're going to have a busy day. But I think at the end of it, everyone in here is going to go back with believing that the investment advisor regulation is a great step forward for our industry.
Thanks, Vishal.
Thanks, Vishal. Yeah. Sorry? Okay, Suresh, can share your views.
Yeah, good morning. This is Suresh Saragopan from Ladder 7 Financial Advisories. We are a financial planning firm, and essentially what we do is comprehensive financial planning, and that is and related advice. As far as the regulation goes, yeah, I mean, we have had our share of sleepless nights. Even yesterday I did not sleep properly. Yeah, the point is, see, what I would like to focus on is the inevitability of change. It's happening across the world, it is happening here, and we can probably look back to the day in 2008 because of which all these things are happening. So the point is, now it's happening across the world, it is happening here. There is no point in crying over the regulations. The regulations, like Vishal pointed out, are going to become far more stringent. At the current level, it is asking us to become fee-only planners. A lot of us are actually practicing as fee-based planners. So this is going to be a quantum change in the sense that we push to fee-only planners. Now, there are going to be challenges for all of us, each of us. There are a lot of us who are not fee-only planners, and we also depend on other commission, income, and all that. So there needs to be certain clarity about whether that is going to come to you or you can only be a fee-only planner. Those are the questions you will be expecting to get answers to. That will come probably later on. But the point is, the most important thing which I would like to highlight at this point in time is that, see, there is no point in crying over this thing. Going forward, I envisage that probably in about 3 years or so, there are going to be no commissions. What is currently happening in the UK or probably in the Netherlands is going to happen very much in India also. So we have to look at the situation which is going to happen probably 3 years hence. This is a good platform as far as we are concerned to prepare for that day. That is the inevitability of the situation today, and we have to prepare for change. So ultimately, I have reconciled to the fact that this change is inevitable, and to a great extent, it is for consumers' benefit. I mean, we all try to look at ourselves. I mean, the navel gazing. So we all want to look at what is in it for me. How can I stay the same way what I have been doing for the past 10 years, 12 years, 15 years? How can I continue to be that? So I think that option has been taken away, and I would say for good. So I would say this is positive. We should take it positively, and we should march forward and find answers here. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, Suresh. So what we are hearing is that there is a change, and change is here to stay, and it's for the benefit. Yes, whenever there is a change, we have to move away from a particular comfort zone. So the comfort of trade fees coming and living a particular standard of living, and that's the biggest fear that all of us have. Sumit, if you would share your views, please.
Good morning, Sumit Vaid, my standard disclosure, these are my views, not the right views, please agree, disagree. Brief about Freedom Financial Planners, started in 2009, fee plus commission model. Very strong belief, everybody in India is ready to pay. We are, as advisor, not ready to charge. We have seen that in model, about for 1,500 members, all paid. Total team strength now close to 150, out of which close to 110 financial planners. This is a pan-India model, we can go scale up and I think make a lot of money out of it. You can see from my tone, I'm very excited with this. I think high time this happens to our industry. For ages, our industry has been a cottage industry, you know. And for once, a regulator is recognizing us and making us into an industry. And why I call ourselves to be a cottage industry, I don't want to be in a line in which people call me agent, dalal, sub-broker and all those kind of derogatory terms, which doesn't, really define what I really do for people. Worldwide, financial advisory and financial planning is a very respectable profession. It deserves to be same in India, and this regulation is a step in the right direction because it will help us get that kind of respect from the market. So that's one good part. The second is it's institutionalizing market. Whenever markets get institutionalized, two things happen. Small people or individual people feel they're going to lose their independence, and a lot of people really go about feeling about it is this is going to be not valid, this is not applicable and all those kind of things. Whenever institutionalization has happened, same kind of reaction has happened. Let's go back in history, talk about stock exchange, and talk about how NSE and other exchanges came up in late 90s and institutionalized stock exchange market. There used to be a lot of stock exchanges, a lot of stock exchange brokers. Today the whole market is institutionalized. The benefit of that goes to the end customer, and when it's beneficial to consumers, it's beneficial to intermediaries who are trying to help them do the business. That's the second point. The third point is what industry really means is our industry till today, and this is my view, is not able to attract capital. You go out and talk to anybody and say, hey, I'm trying to be a financial advisor, I want to scale up this business, give me money, whether it's a private equity, whether it's a venture fund, nobody's interested in looking at you at all. Because they don't have any kind of precedence about what this industry is all about. As a result, many of us operate in a very small horizon. Whereas what the need of the hour is to have large, scalable business models to go and create, profitability, which will excite external investors. This regulation does that. At Freedom, the way we structured for us, it's not going to be a huge task to go and apply for this regulation. I think we were just doing an analysis. We have to just move one of our team into a separate room and call it an SIDD, and we are ready to go. So from a structure point of view, it's not as tough as many of us are reading it into being. You can just lay down and put a whole process into place, so it's very doable. So to me, this is just beginning. Best is yet to come, and I think very exciting times for our industry, especially with us becoming an industry away from cottage industry.
Thanks, Sumit. The two important points he raised is one is getting respect, and that's really needed. So when you say that nobody's going to call you now agent or dalal or broker, that's second is able to attract capital. So all those who want to kind of institutionalize. In fact, Lowy wrote to me yesterday, and he said that the film industry was dying to get a status of industry, and after that the professionalism came in, a lot of other things started happening. And probably same thing is going to happen to investment advisory profession as well, because then you start get recognized as a profession, the point which Sumit made. Sumit, thanks a lot. And Rajesh, if you could share your views, please.
For a change, maybe I can request Brain and Sumit to stand with me. Yes, I know. You see, I'm already injured. I am the client. He is my advisor. Sumit is the manufacturer. Yeah? Okay. I want you to put the hand behind me and hold Sumit's hand. And I am the client. If I were to summarize what regulation is trying to do, this is exactly what they don't want to happen. This is exactly what they don't want to happen. Thank you, gentlemen. No. Well, yeah, I've been working in the area of platforms since my stint with iFast 5 years. It's almost 5 years now. We are the first platform provider to push its agenda into the Indian market. And iFast has been in this business in Singapore since 2000. 2000 is exactly when Singapore market was thinking of implementing investment advisory regulations. So when we started off in any market, we didn't have any clients to go and talk to, so we had to start them from scratch. I see the very same thing happening in India. Prior to this, I was a manufacturer. I used to work with Fidelity. So I've seen the business from that side. And before that with a bank as a distributor. So having seen all the three aspects of this industry, being a distributor myself, being a manufacturer, and now working with the various stakeholders to empower them to achieve their respective wins. If I were to look at what's the way forward, I think one key word that I would want to put into all of your minds is fiduciary responsibility. I think anywhere you go across the world, the way in which regulations are moving, specific to financial services, the thrust is fiduciary. And the reason why I'm talking fiduciary is because what I just demonstrated was not fiduciary. I mean, if Prem was an advisor and he had that backhand going behind my back and the client doesn't know what he's doing, but he is always relying on Prem's shoulders for advice, that's something that the regulators don't want to happen in the market. And that they feel is the reason for most of the problems across the world. So I think the way forward, as I see it in India, there will be more and more focus with microscopes and lenses on that hand that goes behind the client's back. That's one. The second, I think, while I should not be seen as trying to promote my business, I think it is important that platforms start shaping up in India, not just one, many, because it's the need for advisors to latch on to processes and institutions who can support you in your transition to become full-fledged advisors. And the third is that I see the entire service delivery towards clients would change. People would be restricted from holding themselves as advisors, which is already there in the document. But if you look at pretty much everybody in this room, if I were to say that you are all going to be advisors, let's for a minute assume that, you will clearly be able to segregate yourselves from people who would have to say that I do not represent you, my client, I'm actually going to be selling something to you. And that differentiation will create a big difference in the way service delivery happens to clients. So I think these are the three key things that I would say would happen going forward. Thanks.
Thanks, Rajesh. Thanks for that brilliant way of expressing your views. Prem, if you can share your views, please.
Good morning to all of you. I'm Prem Khatri. I run a business called Capital Mutual. I'm not a distributor, but I track the distribution business very closely. Before I actually say what I've come here for, I'm very curious to know, and I think it's a good idea before the actual proceedings start, to ask this audience here, how many of you are seriously contemplating registering as an investment advisor? How many of you? Okay, great. So that would be about 40% of the audience. Okay, so that's wonderful, and let's see what the results are once this session is over. So whether people see an advantage in being an investment advisor or not is something that we... So when we embark on this evaluation process, I'm very interested in finding out what are the things that distributors can and cannot do. There are some very existential questions which come up, which is how do we define ourselves? So from the card that we carry, if I become an investment advisor, I can say I'm an investment advisor. If I'm not an investment advisor, what can I say? Okay, that becomes very interesting. Can I be both an investment advisor and anything else? And what is that anything else that we need to decide? When I do my business, what happens to the business that I've done before I apply to for registration? What happens? Am I liable for any action on that? From what day does the cutoff happen? So some of these issues is what I'm actually dying to find out. I have answers to a lot of questions, but these are some of the questions to which I have no answers, and I'm really looking forward to discovering all that with you. Having said that, I clearly think that this is really, really the way ahead for us. Okay, this is the only direction in which this business needs to be headed. It's really not a question of whether we want to be a part of this or we don't want to be a part of this. At least for the kind of audience which is there in this room, I think this is the only way forward. When we decide to do it is a matter of time, but just like Vishal said first, it's not a question of if, it's only a question of when you choose to do it. So I'm very excited and I'm looking forward to discovering many of these things and perhaps contributing to the discussion.
Thanks, Prem. So from 40% people saying yes, I think by the time we complete this, we'll have many more people. And what he has spoken is about contemplating. So don't rule that out. So 60% of people are saying that we are not even considering that. That's not prudent. If you are an advisor, if you are a financial planner, saying that we are not going to even consider, that's not too positive. Start considering it. In fact, Karthik just mentioned just before the panel discussion. He said that I read this 2-3 times and I felt that this is very easy and this is doable because that's what I'm already doing. So most of us are already doing it. It's just that one extra step ahead and getting that respect, getting that a separate kind of recognition that we get from society, which we deserve, and do justice to the entire all the stakeholders. Mukesh, if you can share your views, please.
Thanks, Gaurav. Good morning, everybody. I am Mukesh Dedia from Galabonsali Securities. I'd like to give my background and bring an analogy to this regulations. For me, life is continuously evolving, and if it was not evolving continuously, like my age, it increases every day, and you would expect, or my children would expect that my knowledge should increase, I expect their knowledge should increase every day. So it's a continuous evolvement. If that stops, I feel that it's like having a heart attack. Now, I'm a chartered accountant practicing. My firm Gala Bhansali is a 57 years old firm today. We were purely into practice. But after 3 years of practice, I felt that that was not that which interests me. I felt that I am not adding value to the world, because you go to the tax department, you need to bribe and get the case solved. Basically, you are not making use of your knowledge. And that is where I felt that I should be out of that profession and I should try to do something differently. At that point of time, I was not investing into equities at all. I had never seen a share certificate, I had never seen a transfer form, and I became a sub-broker. I do not know why. One of my friends insisted and I got excited. I said, okay, let's get into it. But I knew one thing, that even though I didn't know anything about the stock market, I wanted to do this business in a professional way. Now this is where I come from. Stock market, I was a sub-broker. It was a business. What we have been doing all this along has been business. But the evolvement from a business to profession has to be seen. And how will you do that? From a sub-broker, I became a main broker in just 2 years. And how did I become? I didn't buy my own card. One of the persons saw how I was acting in the stock market. There used to be Galia system in those days, but I was doing it very honestly. So that person said, Mukesh, I'm buying another card and you are going to manage it. Just because of that professionalism in totally unprofessional kind of activities, capital markets. And from there the confidence grew. I became an NSE member from day one. When NSDL came, Mr. Bhave, who was the chairman and MD, he took me on the committee of NSDL, and I have been instrumental in shaping up quite a few things at NSDL. The point always to be noted is, if I had to be a part of a bigger global scenario, I should not be looking at my benefit, I should be looking at the global benefit. Like for example, if I'm buying gold, it might be good for me, but not good for the community. Do we have that mindset? Are we willing to increase the overall pie? If that happens, then sooner or later I am going to benefit. So from a sub-broker to a main broker, then came the PMS license. Brokers were doing portfolio management. Where was the need of PMS license? But brokers were not seen as professional people. Today you don't mind, you are taking it very casually. Yes, PMS license, yes, only people who have PMS license can do it. So after 10 years, maybe you would say, yes, people who are into investment advisor regulations, they can only do those wealth management and financial planning. It will come very obviously. But today it's not obvious. So basically I would say it has to be evolvement. Education. Maybe some people have evolved, but some people have been doing the same business, distribution of business for last 10 years. We are talking about continuous investment education, but are we also evolving? Somebody have done CFP, but after CFP also somebody might still be studying. I am still studying. I think I will be student till I die. So it's a continuous evolution. Please don't stop that evolution. Shake hands with evolution. You will grow.